What's going on, YouTubers? I'm Kevin0015, and this is, excuse me, Breaking Bad Episode 2 review. It was a really good episode, better than last week. This week was pretty much the episode of Mike, because Walt and Jesse were probably both in maybe 2, 3 scenes each. Um, Most of them were together. Um, and pretty much the rest of the scenes in this episode were all Mike. So it starts off, this German guy is sitting here testing condiments, and forgive me, and you know he's a German guy, and pretty much the feds are looking for him because he was like one of the top runners of the Mother organization that ran Polos Hermanos, and the police were looking for him, and this guy went in the bathroom with like a what do you call it, a respirator, and he hooked it to his one part to his chest and hooked a wire up to that. He took the other wire and stuck it in his mouth, and he pressed the button and shocked himself to death. Just one shock, and he was down. Um, and Walt comes up to, or goes to Hank. Walt goes to Mike's house, and he tells Mike, he's like, listen, he's like, let's go into business. We split it 3 ways. There's no employees, just owners. You, me, and Jesse. So they're planning on selling it again, or so they're planning on selling again, and it's then he talks to some chick who tells him, here's a list of people. She tells Mike, here's a list of people that were on um, Gus's payroll that the police will pick up. And Mike's like, you want me to kill everybody on this list? She's like, no, unless you think that's a reasonable thing to do. So he bumps into one of the guys on the list at the Fed station, and he's like, the cops are trying to make me talk. And he pretty much just brushed him off. Mike went upstairs, and they interviewed Hank, and I can't remember his name for the life of me, but his partner, who in season 1 had no facial hair, and then from season 3 to 4 he went through puberty and grew a goatee. But that guy, they interviewed Mike, and they said, what was your involvement? And he said, oh, I was a security guard for Palos Hermanos. I did background checks, shit like that, resumes. And then they start saying, well, it's kind of funny, all these guys, on this list of people we got, they all had millions of dollars in their bank account, and they all dipped into it. And your granddaughter seems to have $2 million in her name. And he's like, but he's like, doesn't seem you. He's like, fortunately for you, you haven't dipped into it. You haven't touched a cent in it. He's like, now he's like, we can't touch your account unless somebody rolls on you, and somebody will roll on you. And Mike's just like, whatever. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, so I don't care. And then when he went to go walk out the door, he had like a motherfucker look on his face. So he he's playing with his granddaughter. He's playing Hungry Hungry Hippo with his granddaughter, and he gets a call from the guy he's bumped into earlier, one of the guys on the list, and he's like, I need my money. I need to talk to you. Fed's going to press me. And he's like, okay. He's like, I'll be over in a minute, or however he talks. And he gets there, and there's a hitman there, one of Mike's guys, believe it or not. And he sees Mike coming up, so this guy puts his silencer up to the eye hole from the inside of the house, so he can shoot Mike when he knocks on the door. But all you hear is like brum, 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 brum on the door, and he looks at it and just sees this thing turning in front of it, and it was a stuffed pig just, turning around right in front of the eye hole. And he's like, what the hell? And then Mike's like, put it down, whatever his name was. So he puts the gun down, and he sits down, and they show the guy he bumped into. I think his name is Charlie. The guy he bumped into. Anyway, they showed him, and he had his brains blown out. I guess he shot him in the face after he got off the phone with Mike. And you know, he told him that the chick from earlier who gave him the list paid him 30 grand to take out all these people so nobody would get caught. And Mike asked the guy, he's like, "You ready?" And the dude's like, "Mike, listen." And then Mike shot him like 4 or 5 times in the chest and he killed him. Um, then Walt and Jesse told Saul, you know, look, we're thinking about selling again, but we need production places. We can't go back to an RV because now thinking about it, that was a stupid idea. We could have broken down in that. There's not enough space, all this other stuff. So Saul's on the lookout for a place that's big enough for them to make more, but not make as least as they were in the RV. So that's that. And then Mike went to this lady's house who gave him the list earlier, and he was waiting with his gun for her, and he grabbed her like this and put the gun to her head, and made her send her daughter and her daughter's nanny home. Well, her nanny went home, her daughter went to bed, and then he sat her on the bed, and she's like, "You're gonna shoot me right here?" He's like, "I'm gonna wait for your nanny to go home first." And then she said, "Don't shoot me in the face, because when my daughter finds me, I want it, to be in the chest. I don't want to scar her too much." He's like, "Your daughter's not going to find you." He's like, "Matter of fact, nobody's just going to find you." And she's like, "Oh no, she has to find me. My daughter has to find me. I can't let her think that I deserted her and stuff like that." And she was begging him, making him promise that she wouldn't disappear. And he just held the gun to him, and he's like, "Can you still get methylamine?" And she's like, What? He's like, "Can you still get methylamine?" And she said, "Maybe." And then next thing you see is Mike gets back in his car and he calls Walt. And oh, by the way, I'm sorry I forgot this, but earlier when Walt asked if Mike wanted to do business, he said he doesn't want to do business because Walt's a ticking time bomb and he doesn't want to be around for the boom. And so he shook Walt's hand, but he said, "I'm sorry, I declined." And then this happened, and he calls Walt and he says, "Listen," he's like, "I'm in." And he's like, I'm in." He's like, and that's pretty much what he said. He said he was in. He was going to sell meth with him. And next week's episode looks amazing. I mean, it looks better than the first two. So, but this episode was really great. I definitely give it 5 out of 5 stars. It was really good. And if you guys missed it already, it's coming on again at 12, I think. Yeah, it's coming on again at 12. So make sure you guys catch it if you missed it. If you have DVR, watch it. So I guess I'll see you guys later. I'll see you next week. Later. Breaking Bad.